Now, video game developers are constantly searching for new ways to reinvent their technology and expand its potential. And science has just helped them out. A study conducted by professors at the University of Exeter and Cardiff University have invented a game that they say can make you lose weight and keep the pounds off. Joining us now is the lead researcher on the study, Dr. Natalia from the University of Exeter. Dr. Lawrence, good morning.
Hello.
So talk to us about how it was that this study was conducted and what you found to be the most significant finding.
Okay, so we'd done lots of lab studies where we'd given people this computer game to do, and we found that people ate less in the lab. So this was the first attempt to really see if it also affected what people eat out in the real world and whether it helps them lose weight. So we got people to do 4 sessions of the training on 4 consecutive days, and we got them to track their food intake in a food diary, and we weighed them. And we found they ate on average 220 kilocalories a day less, and they lost about 100 grams after a week of training.
Now, of course, there are plenty of video games out there that were intended with the purpose of weight loss. There's an entire Wii Fit system. There's The Biggest Loser, Ultimate Workout. There's Zumba Fitness, Jillian Michaels' Fitness Adventure. How would you say that this game here differs?
Okay, so this is a new approach. We're really using what we know about psychology and how it works, and we're trying to target the brain's reward system and the automatic impulses that we have when we see energy-dense foods that are very tempting. So we're trying to change the automatic response to those foods from a go response to a stop response. And I think it's probably one of the first interventions that does this.
But of course, the problem is, how do you keep the weight off and how do you maintain that weight loss? How does this game address that?
Well, the original research suggests that 6 months later, people still have lost even more weight. So what we hope is that by changing these impulses, people then go out in the world and interact differently with food, so they learn new associations. So instead of chocolate cake or chips being something that you find very tempting and you always eat, they become something that you stop to. And by repeatedly training or learning that you don't eat those foods, hopefully we can engender long-lasting changes in food habits.
So that definitely takes some discipline, but is it actually fun? Does the game find a way to make that happen? How does it work when you're actually engaging with it?
So the game, you just have to press keys to say whether pictures are flashing up on the left or right. And when there's a bold frame around the picture, you have to not press anything, so you have to stop. And we make the bold frame appear with high-calorie foods so that the brain learns an association between those foods and stopping. And other studies have shown that the motor areas of the brain are actually inhibited when you do this. So what we think happens is that when you see those foods in real life, you inhibit your motor responses, and then you don't feel like reaching for the food and eating it.
Now, the study participants also kept a log of what they ate during the weeks of the test. And, across the board, nutritionists say that people lose weight when they have to track their food on paper. Do you think that contributed to the success of the game somewhat?
It might have contributed, and it might have accentuated because people would have been aware of changes in their eating behavior, perhaps. But we did have a control group that did exactly the same computer game, but took pictures of gardening tools and stationery, and they also tracked their intake and food diaries. So they did exactly the same as the active group, except they weren't being trained to stop the food. And those people did not lose weight, and they didn't show any changes in their calorie intake.